screen. I want this one. Yes, share. Cool. Yay. All right. So welcome to Political Satire with me, Bianca Xunise. It is a free workshop, as you well know. It's an election year. Let's learn to effectively use our voice with one panel comics. And here is a drawing of myself, in a comic, which I'm pretty sure most of you are probably familiar with. This comic kind of had a moment, yeah, I promise my brain's it's gonna catch up eventually, and it's gonna be so smooth. You're gonna be like, whoa, she just turned on. It's great. Okay, click. Here we go. In this workshop, we will. Just making sure everyone nod if you can see this, if the slide shot is moving. Cool. Okay. In this workshop, we will be working on fine-tuning ideas for one panel satirical comics. We will be discussing what makes a strong panel and how ideas get lost. Sorry, I just got someone's trying to get in. And how ideas get lost. We will also be going over a few technical aspects of the comics making process, because I want to make sure you guys are getting enough technical things, like not just like, let's see how we feel, but like, oh, how do you actually like make a gosh darn comic? Well, let's get into it. A little bit about me. If you heard this before, cover your ears. This is your first time hearing it, welcome. I'm Bianca Xunise. It's pronounced Xunise. This is silent. I'm a cartoonist and comics professor based out of Chicago, Illinois. My work primarily focuses on the plight and daily struggles of being a young Black weirdo in America. Starting to feel weird about continuing to say young, but I'm gonna hold on to that until I reach, let's say 70. Here's a comic. Here's a one panel comic to present to you. Hey, Teen Me, can you believe you grew up to be this cool? And Teen Me goes, ill, you're old. But I also talk about mental health awareness, sad boys, and music. So here is a sad comic, and then here's a sad boy comic, and then here is a music comic, because we're talking about comics. And police brutality, which got me an Ignatz in 2017. Oh, I forgot to update this. I got an Ignatz this year as well, as a group collaborative for Be Gay Good Comics. I'm looking at it and I thought about grabbing it, but it's all like cute and on a display. And if I grab it, then everything will come crashing down. And I think I've done enough physical comedy for today. And as of 2020, I became the second Black woman to be nationally syndicated when I joined the comic strip Six Chicks. So again, that's kind of like what we're gonna get in today, those one panels, strips. And here is a comic here. I'm a little confused. Am I responsible for letting people in, or should I ignore every time there's—
Ignore, just ignore.
Okay. Here is a comic here of me being beat up by my cat. I thought maybe she was close and I could show you guys. She's very cute. But I'm FaceTiming someone, and what happened to your face? And I go, haha, you should see the other guy. And there she is in all her glory. And going on to working with Six Chicks, it became a notorious position, and I am here to give you tips and tricks about that today. So yay, oh my gosh, wow, like the comic went viral and spooky. Okay, so what makes a strong satirical piece? Let's break that down a little bit, shall we? Say less. So I wanted to use Awful Ben Garrison's comic as an example of what not to do if you're interested in doing satirical political work. Ben Garrison is kind of known for his very glamorous comics of Donald Trump and putting everybody else in sort of a very stereotypical, offensive, just sort of poisonous lens. And so, but the reason I'm not even gonna go into the fact that this is bad because it's racist, I'm gonna go into this because it's bad because it's simply a bad comic. So the reason why is there's just too much to consume within this one panel. I have to read everything in order to understand it. So this spill here doesn't even explain itself. There's a caption here, there's a caption here, there's a caption on everything. It doesn't, and then she's wearing a t-shirt that's derogatory and sexist. And don't forget that she's Puerto Rican. That's the racist part. Oh, and then there's no ice. Because that's the joke. That one's fine, but it's still, you still had to think about it too hard. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys this. You might kind of get inspired or encouraged to put all of your ideas into one comic, edit. One thing I always tell my students, if you ever have watched Project Runway or any sort of reality competition show, a lot of times somebody ends up on the chopping block because they forgot to edit. And so try to just stick with one key point and let that speak on its own. So moving on, be knowledgeable. So, and whatever you decide to choose as your subject in your piece. So clearly, I'll go back to this one because it's quite obvious. This one is about AOC. So how can this person is trying to make her look as evil as possible, blah, 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 blah. There's all that stuff there. Be knowledgeable in what you're talking about. Unfortunately, Ben Garrison is not knowledgeable, and that's why he did this. But when whatever you're going to talk about, make sure that you can stand behind it. You are informed on the subject, whether it is the queer movement, Black Lives Matter, voting, March for Our Lives, resistance, Planned Parenthood, all types of things like that. Just make sure you're just like, okay, I feel like this is something I could talk about. Don't try to dip into someone else's lane if you're not fully confident in being challenged in it. And that's really what it comes down to. Expect to be challenged in whatever it is that you decide to make your comic about, because the internet is quite vocal if you're going to post it online. If this is just something that you are doing on your own, or just something that you're just doing just to release just the of this year, and it's just something you're doing as a form of journaling, I wouldn't worry about being challenged too much, except maybe by your future self. But if this is something that you're planning on doing in your career or just as a hobby, make sure you know the facts. And especially if you're speaking on something that may not necessarily affect you directly, I'm not against other people speaking up against things that may not affect them directly. And I feel like that is often a problem in our culture, is a lot of times people are just quiet and don't say anything. Feel free to speak up on these matters, even if it's not a direct thing, especially let's say Black Lives Matter. Just make sure that you are also uplifting the right voices, you're knowledgeable on the subject, and you're not speaking over marginalized voices in these communities. Okay, and also my favorite bit is to laugh to keep from crying. Every single day I laugh. And so here is a comic that I did that's kind of about what's been going on recently. And here I am here in this corner, and I'm going, I guess I'm a little burnt out, but I'm hanging in there. How are you? And here's a person going, oh my God, sis, I am so exhausted. I had to put fighting racism on hold. You're such a strong Black woman. And so that's the punchline. It's the strong Black woman part, and kind of how, backing up to what I was talking about before, if you're going to speak on these things, make sure that you're going to be into this for the long haul. If we're trying to resist and revolutionize, it's going to take some time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. We may not also see direct change in our lifetimes, but you have to keep fighting. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to maybe just quickly throw a definition in here, because I feel like we get confused on this, sort of like, Alanis Morissette's song about irony. We often don't know the definition of satire. So satire is a genre of literature and performing arts in which vices, follies, abuses, and shortcomings are held up to ridicule, ideally with the intent of shaming individuals, corporations, government, or society itself into improvement. And so I wanted to highlight that part because I'm gonna go back to old Ben Garrison here. How does this strive towards improvement? It doesn't. This actually holds us back. And so a lot of times, there was a popular newspaper out of France called Charlie Hebdo, and it was a satirical newspaper, but oftentimes a lot of the satire came at the cost of Black and brown people, especially of African descent and of Muslim belief. And that is not improvement, that is just racist. And again, so how are we improving as a society? How is your comic asking for us to change versus is it just, if it's just being offensive, then you're just drawing an offensive comic. No, and that's not even, these are different things. I don't know why I'm doing all this, but it looks cool. All right, let's tap into some process and some technical tips when prepping a one panel. It's okay to have a lot of ideas. So this is a little screenshot of my Google Docs. I love Google Docs. I can access it on my phone. I can access it on my tablet. I can access it on my computer. You don't always need Wi-Fi for it, at least just to update it. And sometimes you may be at Walgreens and something may happen to you and you're like, oh my God, this would be a great idea for a comic. I always like to just kind of jot these things down. I almost never, especially at this point in my career, I almost never start drawing comics completely raw, or just like sit down, all right, let's start drawing. It's good to have a place to start. It's good to also just have a bank of ideas, because sometimes when you are on a deadline or you need to make something quick, you can dig into your bag of ideas, you have something. And also when you have a space to just kind of jot off ideas, it allows them to marinate. Because sometimes your ideas aren't always that great when you first come up with them. Sometimes they need a little time to process. Sometimes you need a little time to step away from whatever incident that you may want to write about to either cool off or process or rethink it or reframe it before you kind of dive right in and create something. So I love to kind of just do this. And then also sometimes my ideas are funnier in my head. And then when I write it down, I'm like, that's terrible. Yeah, so sometimes it helps to just like look at it and be like, hold on, let me think this through. And then kind of working off of, so say, you have this bank of ideas, you have this text, you have this dialogue, thumbnail ideas before settling on final thoughts. So this is a sneak peek. Don't tell anyone that you saw this, because this hasn't come out yet. But this is a Halloween comic that I've been working on that's gonna come out in a few weeks. And the thumbnail started like this. A lot of times I have my best ideas in the shower and I'll laugh at something and then I'll go draw it. I'll draw it quickly. And you don't wanna spend too much time on something. You kind of just wanna get it out of your head. And so here's basically a render of me getting ready to carve a pumpkin, my cat, me talking to my cat. And what am I gonna carve into my pumpkin? Because that's Halloween. So in this original version, I have Which is Scarier, Karen or All Lives Matter. And then when I decided to go with the final, I decided to go Which is Scarier, Karen or Student Loan Debt. So we're actually covering more ground with the final edit. And then also, I didn't want it to be misunderstood. I didn't want people to misunderstood the punchline of this comic, which is why I was like, let's pick something broader, because even though Black Lives Matter, I didn't want people to write me angry letters and be like, oh, so my life doesn't matter and you carved that into a pumpkin? And I'm like, oh God. So moving on. And don't forget the 5 W's in any comic that you're doing, especially if you're working in 1 panels or 4 panels. You have to give your audience so much information in such a little bit of time. And it begins the banging. I'm sorry if you can hear that. The 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. And so I use this comic as an example. And if we could communicate to one another, I would be like, can someone identify the who? But because it's just me, myself, and I here, and the banging of my neighbors, I will answer these questions. So just kind of run through this real quickly so you can start to identify these things. And I also like to, if I'm just reading other people's work, if I'm reading the newspaper, if I'm reading webcomics, if I'm scrolling through Instagram, it's fun to kind of just quiz yourself on these things so you can identify them in other people's work. Just so you're always always have your setting. So the who is this young gentleman here. What's going on? He is yelling at his television. When is it? Probably he's either watching the news, so it's either the morning or it's the evening. Or unless he's watching 24-hour news, then it could be anytime. Where is he? He's at home, because that's where we all are. And why is he doing this? Because he values things over human lives. And that's how also you get the understanding of a comic. And that's where he says, I can't believe they're looting that big box store that killed my family business. There's layers to that statement as well, but you can kind of see that he is not seeing the importance of what's going on. And this comic came out on August 4th, but unfortunately, this is a conversation that we've had to have all summer long into the fall, of people simply not understanding that Target, sorry, it's so loud. I'm not sure if you guys are getting that. Target is a thing, and people, you can't replace lives. You can replace dollar stuff from the dollar section at Target. So let's get in there. I hope that wasn't just too much at once. I get really excited when I want to share something or if I want to teach. So just, give it a minute. Let's, forget all that I just said, and let's just go into it loose. Let's just shake it off and dive right in. So I checking the time here. Okay, cool. I want us to get started by drawing 5, that's right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rough ideas. And I want them to be rough. I don't want you all to be overthinking this or to be trying to give me an Oscar-worthy statement today. What's 5 things on your mind right now? Draw a quick little thumbnail. I'm going to do it with you, and I'm going to time us. And let's go. And then in another, I'm asking this to the believer here. In another workshop I did, I timed it by playing music. Is that okay? Sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and bust out those sketchbooks, and let's do 5 thumbnails. Let's see. Hang tight. I just want to make sure I timed this right. All right, so let's take about 10 minutes doing this. All right, 10 minutes drawn out, 5 roughs, and go. I'm gonna throw on some tunes, and I'm gonna time this. I'm also not, I've moved my camera to show you all me drawing. I'll just show you my sketchbook periodically. It's kind of convoluted for me to move this. I did all this work for it to be here. This is my calculator. All right, 10 minutes on the clock. Let's go. They must have been voting for the president or something. Do you have a quarter? I said yes, because I did. Honest And I'm just gonna show you all just kind of like how rough mine are. So these are two different, I don't really do panels.
I've always thought that I was shaking people up, but now I want to go at it more.
Keep them rough.
More deliberately.
Just move on. If you're like, this idea sucks, move on to the next one. Don't try to make this. Don't try to make this perfect. Don't try to, you know, again, like this has to be the most genius. I want to win a Newbery on this. It just move on. And this is a process that I learned in design school of just sort of just jumping onto the next idea, because it helps you stay on your toes. And it also just helps you not get so married to your ideas. And it's sort of a, oh, what is that director's name? I'll remember it in a minute. But you ever watch a movie where you're like, wow, there's so much of this they should have edited and the ending doesn't make any sense? It's because they refuse to let go of their original idea. Just let it go. Let it go. Move on. Let it go. Do. We have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Thank you, 5 minutes. I see someone watching the lips before it was as if response was based on facts, providing, deciding it was too bad. Sweat to it, face to it, it was not bad. When you fall, I think it had a cause to let fall. Didn't decline, I think they had tonight in this one. Providing, deciding, it was too bad. Sweat to it, face to it, it was not bad. Someone watching over people, watching nothing they know. When you did see they had a cause to live for, destroyed was later based on fact. Providing, deciding, it was too bad. Sweat to it, face to it, it was not bad. 3 minutes on the clock.
Diane retired and opened that pottery studio.
Nationwide. That's what I get for using Spotify. I always got ads. And I'm not paying for Spotify because I'm part of a generation that's used to commercials. Let's see what we got going on the clock here. We got 1 minute 45. Now iTunes is asking me for a download. Nothing works. Never had these problems on LimeWire. Oh boy. I don't know if I'm gonna put another. Maybe I will. Maybe just here we go. If we could get some sound. There we go. I'll let this song finish and then we'll stop. So you have 30 seconds. It's such like a musical chair song. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this share so you guys can see me big. So this is how rough my sketches are. And I did about 6 different ideas here. And this isn't my finest hour. And it doesn't have to be our finest hour. This is a practice. We're safe here. No one's gonna judge you. We're just having some fun. Okay, so we had our ideas roughed out, kind of. Let's move on to step 2. Okay, so surely out of all of those concepts, because those are concepts, we're concepting, we're using fancy art lingo. Out of those concepts, one of those have to be pretty sharp. So let's take the one that you feel like, there's something here, there's a little something here, and then redo it, but try to see it at a different angle. So say, that idea, it came and it went from my brain. Basically, just take the concept that you worked on and just rework it. Either try to rephrase it, try to do it from a different perspective, try to do it at a different time, try to have a different point of view, or clean it up, make it snappier. Is there too much work? Is there too many ideas? Are there too many words? Edit it down, or do the opposite point of it. Either of those things. Take the strongest idea, create an alternative version, and then we're gonna look at both of them. So I'm gonna put 10 minutes on the clock for this one. And again, this is rough. It does not have to be cute at all. This doesn't have to be, again, you don't have to worry about trying to share this or anything. We are just working those muscles, working that brain. I understand that a lot of us right now are chugging along on steam and garbanzo beans. So let's just do the best we can. 10 minutes on the clock. All right. Ooh, here's a really long song I could put on. Wouldn't it be great if things worked?
crying out for me.
Give me music or no? Yeah, actually, let's do this one.
If you want me, you can find me left of center off of the strip, in the outskirts and in the fringes, in the corner out of the grip. If you want me, you can find me left of center off of the strip, in the outskirts and in the fringes, in the corner out of the grip. When they ask me, what are you looking at? I always answer, nothing much, not much. I think they know that I'm looking at them. I think they think I must be out of touch, but I'm only in the outskirts and in the fringes, on the edge and off the avenue. And if you want me, you can find me left of center, wondering about you. That somehow, somewhere inside of us, we must be similar, if not the same. So I continue to be wanting you left of center against the grain. If you want me, you can find me left of center off of the strip, in the outskirts and in the fringes, in the corner out of the grip. When they ask me, what are you looking at? I always answer, nothing much, not much. I think they know that I'm looking at them. I think they think I must be out of touch, but I'm only in the outskirts and in the fringes, on the edge and off the avenue. And if you want me, you can find me left of center, wondering about you. I sit here alone and I wonder why. Friday night and everyone's moving. I can feel the heat, but it's letting down. I search for the feeling. It's down, down the aisle without going. Down the aisle without going. With a kid in America. With a kid in America. Everybody is going. Bright lights and music is fast. Boy, don't check on your watch, I'm looking. I'm not leaving now, honey, not a chance. I tried to give it up, much later, baby, you can say you never mind. You know life is too life is never kind. So baby, let's go.
1 minute.
We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America. Everybody, everybody needs to go. Some boys that are yes, baby. Let's get a brand new experience tonight. Although we try to stop, baby, hold me tight. Outside a new day is done. Outside suburbia's sprawling everywhere. I don't want to go there. New York to East California. There's a village coming out there. We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America. Everybody is going to go. Wow. We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America. Everybody is going to go.
And the song keeps going. All right, so I'm gonna show y'all what I done did. Here we go. Okay, so just to kind of show everyone where I started. Again, so here are my first few ideas. This one right here was me standing at a mailbox waiting for my stimulus check that I have not gotten. Here's another comic about somebody just going, "We're doomed." Let me see if I can read this one backwards. Oh no. Here's a white couple here saying, "Let's get away from all the racism and move to Canada." As a nice white woman there trying to touch my hair. Oh. And then here's a lady shaking me saying, "I voted, everything is solved." And this final one at the bottom here, what does it say? Oh, don't you miss when things, the way things were. So my favorite one was the lady shaking me going, "I voted, now everything is solved. We don't have to do any of this anymore. We're done. Hooray." I decided to, let's expand on that idea. So I kept, my goodness, Procreate. So I kept the "I voted, everything is solved" there, and decided to do a more elaborate comic here. So it's a little hard to see off the tablet, and I wish I could screen share with y'all, but nope. Basically, it is a couple eating outside, and there's a group of protesters going, "No justice, no peace." And this man here is saying, "Silly protesters, don't they know they could just vote and everything can go back to normal?" So kind of expanding off of the same idea. So that's kind of what I meant before, was with this one in the corner was just kind of like a one-liner conversation between me and just some random person that come up to me, versus this one, there's a bigger story happening here. There's a whole protest. There is a meal happening here. There are people without their masks on. just having dinner outside while everyone else is fighting for justice. So let's see, how am I doing on time?
We could go into share if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and share. I had one more step here, but we don't have time for it, do we?
Yeah, I think we're running a little short on time.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move into sharing. If anyone wants to share some of their ideas, I'd love to see them. Carlina's raised their hand. Do I click on it?
We got it, don't worry.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
My name's Carlina. I'm originally from American Samoa, but I'm stranded in LA for COVID.
Oh no.
My comic is like of this guy, and he's standing in front of a mailbox. He's like, "We can't vote for from the mail. I don't trust it." And then there's a lovely service worker in the back saying, "Here are your social security checks, pension payments, and letters from your grandkids and all that stuff, Ethel." Ethel's like, "Oh, thanks so much, dearie." Which is kind of just highlighting how a lot of people are like, voter fraud. But it was also like, you get, a lot more important stuff in the mail. So that's what mine's on.
That was really good. That was really good. All right. Who else? Who else?
Yeah, hello?
Hi.
Hey, this is mine. Let's see here. So basically this one is kind of about censorship. So basically you see China, someone in China looking at the internet and on a news website, and it says this site is banned, please see official government version. And then in the USA, kind of the same censorship happening, but it's self-censorship. So it says, she's looking on a website, it's like, says the real news, all other news is fake, and hail Trump or something like that. So yeah.
That's really good too. Wow, you guys are ready to take my job. Who else? Who else got something to share? Hi. I can't hear you.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I'm Erica. And I did, I don't know if you can see, the COVID vaccine, 100% effective on test subjects, and it's a dodo bird.
Not the dodo.
Yeah, so yeah,
Oh,
I wouldn't take it,
no.
but that's mine.
Oh, wow. Hi. I can't hear you now.
Oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan of you, Bianca.
Oh, okay, yay.
Yeah, your workshops are great. I'm calling in from Hong Kong. It's the morning here.
Oh, wow.
And there's a big drinking district called Lang Kwai Fong, and there's a lot of expatriates. I noticed that drink in the district without a mask. So they're drinking at the bar table saying, lockdown sucks. I had to cancel my trip to the Maldives. And then there's the service worker cleaning the bottles, which I see every time I go there on Fridays.
Oh, that's so entitled.
The thing about these bar tables really gets to me. Thanks for this workshop.
Yeah, great job. Anybody else? No? Oh, hi.
Hi, Bianca.
Hi.
I'm originally from Kazakhstan, and I'm calling from DC area. So I'm a big fan of yours as well. And so this is the first one that I did. It's emergency workers behind with like a bunch of gravestones, and they're like the person is like pushing a sick person. Then there's the regular person with the mask on saying this is torture. So sort of just juxtaposing against the the real suffering going on the background. Then I try to do what you said and give it like a spin. So I'm kind of struggling with this one. There's like a regular sort of person saying I miss normalcy, and the other one is the person in PPE saying I miss my family. And So I'm trying to sort of play on the idea that sort of normalcy is what got us here, which is, I guess, kind of similar to what you said about don't you wish to go how things were before. So I don't know. I'm kind of stuck with exactly how to play off normalcy in the second side of the panel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was really good. Those kind of stand alone on their own, like as single comics. Those are great.
Thanks.
Let's do one more. Okay. Can't hear you.
I did a couple of interactions that I've had with my mom with cashiers. The top is when I was younger, and I said, "Ugh, Mom, you're so slow." My mom doesn't speak English very well. I'm in Brooklyn. We're Asian Americans. And then down here, our more recent interactions with the cashier says, "Why don't you let your daughter help you?" And I say, "She knows what she's doing."
Oh, wow. Wow, those are good. Yeah. Great job, everybody. Wow, I love this. I love seeing your ideas. My goodness. Like, geez, like, especially now that like we're all kind of stuck in our own homes, it's nice to just see everybody else's ideas and kind of bounce ideas off each other and see where your heads are at. But it's also really great to know that we are in like-minded company. Oh yeah, an announcement from the Believer. If you guys do decide to, I'm talking to the camera. If you guys decide to share anything, tag the Believer, tag me at Bianca Xunise, at Believer Mag, and post it on Twitter, post it on Instagram, post in the stories. I love to share them. DM me if you want. Be like, hey, can you take a look at this? This is silly. If you have any questions, I'm here for you. I love to teach. I love to help. I love comics. But thank you all for joining me on this Friday night and my scatterbrain and us doing this together. So this is really fun. And cheers to you and cheers to making comics. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Bianca.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm like a wave.
Bye.
Thank you. You're an amazing artist. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my
Bianca,
God.
you're
Thank
cool.
you. Love you, Bianca. You're so good.
Oh, we just end it? Do I just cold hard?
Thank you.